A lot of parents get really upset when their kid says, I hate you, I hate you. They're going to say anything to upset you when they don't get their own way and they're that way inclined to be combative.
My 3-year-old has been saying stupid mummy. We were in a store the other day and while I was at the checkout, he started screaming it. I told him we do not say those words and continued checking out.
I don't know why you're saying we do not say those words because he is saying those words. Like that's not going to do anything. Welcome to the Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at Bratbusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what are we talking about today?
So the title, it's a working title. It's a little longer. It is, Did Your Kid Really Just Say That?
Oh, that's cute. That's kind of clickbaity. It's cute.
A little clickbaity.
Yeah. Did your child really just say that?
I'm sure lots of parents have had many of those moments where you just go, oh, yikes.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you must have a lot to say in this one because I don't. Do you know what I mean? Like you must be feeding me a lot of comments or questions.
Quite a few questions. I have a few just general situations that maybe you can touch on before we get into the actual episode. So the first one would be, let's say your kid swears. How would you go about that?
Oh, that's quite an easy one because you just put down on the behavior board if they're 3 and over, you put down no bad words or no name calling usually, put them together. And then you just have a consequence. So I treat that like a bad behavior, but anything else that comes out of their mouth, like I don't. That's in the attitude department. But swearing and name calling, I do treat like bad behavior, not attitude. And I will put it on the behavior board. If they're under 3, that's a trickier one. So they'll just say something repeatedly. You say no, and then you redirect them or ignore them. So you say no, and then you kind of walk away. So you just ignore that.
I think that in the past you've had questions about that because possibly they might have cousins who are older who think it's funny and then it gets laughed at. And then it just becomes this, oh, if I say this, I get laughter.
Well, that's why they'll go for any reaction. If they get none, they tend to pull away from it. So that's why you can say no, and then you ignore.
Okay. And then if you're trying to, do you want to teach them what else to say?
Not necessarily, because that's like saying if they hit and then you say gentle hands. No, I don't. It's like if they swear, I don't say, here's what you say instead. No, I don't tend to. Do you want me to go into that?
Yes. And then I'll say what I grew up with.
Okay. Oh, no, you say that first.
Well, I think it just happened through osmosis because every single time my mom like stubbed her toe, it'd be sugar. Oh, sugar. Even now, it's still sugar.
I still say, that's my main go-to swear word. If I'm really upset, I'll say flugen. But I made that up. It's probably some horrible word in Norway or something.
Honestly, we grew up with flugen being so bad that we didn't even say it.
When you heard it, yeah, that's true. They never said it because when they heard it, they go, oh, mom's really mad now. It's usually when I really hurt myself or something. Anyway, so what were you saying? Oh, yeah, they see older cousins doing that. But like I said, they're just going to pull away from that stuff if it gets ignored. They only do stuff to get a reaction when it comes to saying bad words.
No, it was about teaching them what else to say.
Or teaching them what else to say. Oh, okay. I forgot. Teaching them what else to say. The reason why you don't do that is because it's still giving too much attention to it. Okay. So, and there's no point. If they say something awful, what's the replacement for one of those swear words anyway? So yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Sugar?
No, I wouldn't even say that. They don't need to say it. They'll see you doing it and then they'll learn.
Okay. Should we just get right into the questions then?
Yes.
So the first one is Alessandra from the United Kingdom. Our son, who's 4, literally does not shut up. So during car rides, sometimes we tell him we need quiet time and then we sit in blissful silence for a couple of minutes until he inevitably talks again. I know it probably feels like torture for him, LOL. Problem is, recently he started saying to us that he wants quiet time, and now I'm not sure what to do. I don't want him to think that he has this sort of power over us, but I also don't know how to exactly what to say to him as a response, or just ignore it and let it escalate, and it definitely will, as he will get frustrated that we are not listening to him. That's something that he will normally do, by the way, start screaming if we do acknowledge every word he says, which is a lot, and I truly cannot deal with it. Help.
Okay. So there's a difference. I never shut up either, but I was sort of self-entertaining myself. Like I can remember a car ride and it was quite a long drive and it was about an hour or 2 or whatever. And I don't know why, but I must have heard this song on the radio or something. And it was, Loretta Lynn. And I remember saying, and I was really little, and I remember repeating the name Loretta Lynn in a really Southern, what I thought was Southern accent. And all this whole car ride, my name's Loretta Lynn. My name's Loretta Lynn. But I wasn't looking for a reaction at all. I just liked the sound of my own voice. What's going on? That's what I thought you meant. So you just have to ignore that stuff. If he expects a response, I would say, no, I said, we're just going to have some quiet time now, and then ignore. You're actually announcing when you're going to have some quiet time, and then let him have a fit. He will learn that when you say, now we need some quiet time, that let him have a fit. Don't even address it. Just let him go on, and eventually he'll learn. So yeah, announce quiet time and then let it happen. I think you're probably still talking through it. Probably saying quiet time now, and he starts yelling, and then you answer him. Yeah, I wouldn't. Let him yell.
How would you address the fact, though, that now he is saying that he needs quiet time and expecting the parents to be quiet?
It depends on if he says it when you're saying dinner time, or if, like, it depends in the context it's being used. If he's saying it just to be rude, I'd say, nope. I would just literally say, nope. He knows what he's doing. He's 4 years old. He knows exactly what he's doing. So yeah, if he's using it in a rude way, like you're saying, okay, time for school. Let's get your shoes on. You say, I need quiet time. Then I'd say, nope, we're getting your shoes on. But yeah, otherwise, if he does need quiet time, then give it to him.
Okay. The next one is Julia from Germany. Hi, I have a 2-year-old who's a very good speaker. People oftentimes think he is older than he is because of it. His feelings are clearly his normal 2-year-old self. He started to say to people around us, XY is not nice, or XY shall go away, to people I know he usually likes or at least doesn't mind, and never has to spend alone time with them, so I'm sure nothing bad has happened. He also would say things like, I want to hit the baby when we visit a friend's with a newborn, even if he had a lot of opportunities to meet the baby and have a lot of attention himself. I don't know how to deal with these situations.
I don't quite understand what you meant by he's speaking a lot and people assume he's older. I don't know how that feeds into this. But yeah, he's just trying to get a rise out of you, I'm assuming. I want to hit the baby. I would just say, nope, and then just ignore it. You're probably giving him lectures, and that's what he's feeding off of. You're probably saying, well, no, you shouldn't hit babies. You should use gentle hands, and all that therapy session stuff. That's garbage. Just say nope, and then just ignore. He's probably doing it for attention.
How do you handle it as a parent if you're in those situations and your toddler says something like that and you're just like, how would you approach that if you're feeling possibly embarrassment?
Embarrassment, I'd say, toddlers, they're nuts. That's what I would say to other people. Yeah, toddlers, they're nuts, and laugh it off. Anyone who's ever had a toddler will just laugh with you.
The next one is Mackenzie from the United States. My child's 2.5, and we're currently in a power struggle. She's been yelling at myself and others to go away, and that is one of the things that she has continued, and I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, she's just saying, again, they're doing what causes a reaction. They love to get a reaction out of you. And they're at that age when they're 2 years old, when all of a sudden they feel this power come over them. They say no, and then you go, no, you don't say no. Don't give attention in the areas that you don't want to grow. Okay. If you want the rude stuff to grow, give it a lot of attention. You can discipline that. So if they say something really, even if it's saying something, I still ignore that. But if they do something naughty, then you take them away from the fun, or the fun away from them if they're a toddler. But if they're just saying stuff, just go, no, or just walk away. Say whatever and walk away. They're doing it for the reaction. They're doing it for the lecture. They're getting a kick out of controlling you. That's usually because they've never been able to do that before. All of a sudden, they've got this power, and they're using it.
I can imagine that maybe a parent listening might be having the question of, isn't that teaching them to go whatever to you?
So that's okay. So yeah, 2-year-old, just go, okay, whatever. And then when they say that to you, if it's something that they need, like if you say, okay, we're going now, and they go, whatever, just follow it up with action anyway. Remember, we're dealing with 2-year-olds here. This is a 2.5-year-old. Okay. Power struggle. So they're about actions. They're not about words. If they say to me, whatever, I don't really care if they do or not. That's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to follow up what needs to be done with an action.
This might be a good time because you do have your boot camp split up between the toddlers and the 3 to 12 age groups. How do you approach discipline for toddlers in that age group?
Yeah. Toddlers, to me, I've just split it up this way. 16 to 35 months to me is a toddler. Under that, they're a baby. And with babies, you're teaching them right from wrong just by going no and redirecting. Okay, so there's no real discipline there. There's just teaching them this is wrong, right? So then they'll start to learn. Anyway, and then by the 16 months, it's a gray area. It's around 16 months to 35 months. That's when you want to use consistent corrective actions. So whenever they do something naughty, you say no and you follow it up with action. You remove them from the fun or remove fun from them just for a few minutes or whatever, and then put them back in the mix and see what they do. They learn through repetition. They don't learn right away. They're not really thinking it through. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction. You have to do it maybe 50 to 100 times before they really click in. And they still might do it. They might give it a go once in a blue moon, but as time goes on. But yeah, they're just going to do what they're going to do. They're just in the crazy years. So it's your job to train them out of that by the time they're about 3. That's when they can stop and think before they act. That's why my 2 courses are split up in the toddler, 16 to 35 months, which is all consistent corrective actions. Then 3 and above, it's using the behavior board. There's a consequence. And never try and prevent bad behavior. You let them commit the crime and then you come in with a lesson. If you're trying to prevent it, don't you do that. If you do, there'll be this, all those threats. They're not learning how to control themselves. They're just being obedient little soldiers, which is ridiculous because that'll backfire down the road. You don't want that. You want them to learn self-control.
Yeah, you think about most situations, and usually in life, it's not, don't you do that? Like you have to learn
Well,
that you need to follow rules.
the tax department does not call me up and says, you remember to pay your taxes on time. But they probably should. But, they don't do that. They just, when you don't pay your taxes, then they give you a fine, right? It's stuff like that. So you want to prepare them for life. Like you're not micromanaging them. Let them do what they're going to do unless they're hurting someone or themselves. Let them commit the crime. And then you come in later and say, here's your consequence.
Okay, the next one is Heather from the United States. Hi, my 4, almost 5-year-old daughter has recently regressed with her behavior and hits me, my husband, and my 2-year-old constantly. She'll also spit on us or repeat "stupid mummy" and will continue to do something after not being asked to not do so or it's taken away. We've tried removing her from situations to sit together in another room and chat about things unrelated to the bad behavior. We hold down her hands or legs down when she hits or kicks. We've tried to help her name the emotions she's feeling so she can better communicate her needs so she doesn't feel the need to be physical, but we've seen no improvement in her behavior. How can we further address these issues without giving them too much attention since they seem to be getting worse every day?
Okay. You said that you try and talk to her about communicating her needs. They're usually acting like this out of the wants, not the needs. You already know what her needs are. She needs food. She needs clothing, all that basic stuff. And you probably know her pretty well. She's doing this over the wants. Okay. And by the way, she doesn't respect you. That's why she's doing this. Remember, we don't fix kids here. We fix and teach parents. Set yourself up as leaders and this behavior will start to go away. Start with my behavior board. It's free on my website, bratbusters.com. And there's a rule and a consequence for every member of the family 3 and above. Her rule needs to be no hurting other people. And then every time she does, there's a consequence. Okay. You'll see it's all explained in that free behavior board. It's a mini course. It's the training wheels with all this stuff. She just doesn't respect you. That's all it is. So you've trained her to do this by not being a leader, and you can train her out of this by being a leader.
I'm wondering if the very first about the sitting together in a separate room with them, not talking about the bad behavior, I wonder if that is inspired by the pool story.
Yeah. There's a reason why I don't do that. Now she's 4.5. The pool story, by the way, this wasn't my kid. This was someone else's kid. And I used the leverage that I had at hand at that moment. Right. But yeah, she's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. I probably wouldn't sit in another room with her and discuss big feelings and big emotions. It sounds like that's what you're doing. That's the mini therapy session stuff. It's rubbish. Don't do it. So yeah, she might even like that. So all of a sudden, if she acts out, you take her in a separate room. She gets this one-on-one attention. She might be feeding off that. Now, do you play with her a lot? So is she acting out because that's the most attention she gets? Does she get enough attention when you're playing with her? I don't know. Connection is more important than discipline. So maybe you're not connected with her enough. I don't know.
I am harping on this part because I do want to make sure that just it feels clear. They said that when they're chatting, it sounded like they're just chatting about unrelated things, really similar to the pool story where you were just building them up. So the difference here is that it's because it's your kid and there's lots of stuff going on. Is that the difference?
Okay. Well, also, so did you do the consequence? Like she's 4.5. Did she get a consequence? And then did she do it? And then you can connect. But it sounds like I didn't hear about a consequence. So if she does something naughty that's on a behavior board, then you have a consequence. And then after she's calmed down, then you can connect. But it sounds like you're just trying to connect as soon as she's done it. But you went in another room with her. The pool story, I was pulling that kid out of a pool. He wanted to be in the pool. That was a really good opportunity. But yeah, it's just a little bit different.
Okay. The next one is Rachel from the United Kingdom. My eldest daughter, just turned 5, can be a rough space invader when playing with her 2-year-old sister. This often leads to her sister grabbing her hair or face and causing big tears all around. We're following your leader not pleaser technique, but find that if we try to intervene before the grabbing starts or say things like give her space, our 5-year-old turns that rough energy on us and can lash out and say mean words. We follow up with a consequence, but my question is about preemptive corrective action. What's best here? Let them figure it out and give a consequence to the 5-year-old who provoked the grabbing, or try to do something to stop the falling out, hurting, and give a consequence for any retaliation.
The second one, or is it the third one? No, the second. It's the one where you let them commit the crime. So you let her get her hair pulled. If she goes in to have it done, she can't complain about it. Well, you went in there, so it's the little one that's grabbing her hair, right? So she's the 5-year-old is a space invader. She goes in, she annoys the little one grabs her hair. I would let that happen. I just would. She's 5. There's a big difference there. She's 5 years old. And I would say, and I might even tell her, if you go in and you bother her, she's going to pull your hair. And then if she does it, then I would say, well, that was your choice. And then I would put down no invading her space, however you want to word it, on the behavior board. And then she gets the consequence, not the hair puller. The hair puller is actually the victim. The hair puller is just defending themselves. Like, get away from me. She's just pulling her hair to get her away from her, right? So I'm assuming you must have consoled the 5-year-old at some point for her to keep doing that. Why would she keep doing that if it hurts? Unless you have been giving her sympathy for that. Like, oh, I'm sorry you got your hair pulled. I don't know. I don't know why she'd keep doing that at 5 years old. They only do what works past the age of 4. So why is she continuing to do that? Where's the payoff? I don't know. Maybe it's attention. I don't know.
Do you remember, and I'm not saying this is the exact same thing, but I remember as a little kid, like 3, having not the greatest idea of like sense of space. Like, I remember going up to my poor kindergarten teacher's ear, my little hot breath probably in her ear. And I, at this point, thought I'd learned how to snap. But in fact, I was just using my pointer finger and my thumb. So it was just a little whisper of a snap. And I go, hey, guess what? I can snap. And I start snapping in her ear.
The poor teacher's little whisper snaps. Hey, I can snap. The poor teacher's hot breath. Oh, God. Kids don't understand personal space. But yeah, I think this 5-year-old knows what she's doing. So I think she's doing it for attention, and make sure there's a consequence when she does it, rather than consoling her when she gets her hair pulled. Say, well, I told you not to go in. You got your hair. I told you were going to get your hair pulled. So you're giving her some fair warning. Okay. That's not trying to stop it. It's letting her know that she's asking for it. There's a difference there.
Okay, we have a more general question. So Lori from the United States, how to handle sassiness and disrespect from a 5-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's all on you. You've taught her when they're sassy towards you, you've taught them to do that because you're not a leader. They just don't backtalk a leader. They just don't, because they look up to you. You're like a mentor. They look up to a leader. They want to please a leader. It's just a natural instinct. And all children need a leader. It's like a mentor. Have you ever had like a coach or a grandparent or a teacher that you looked up to? Would you ever have sassed that person? Not in a million years. It's like that. Once you're a leader, they just don't sass you. So work on yourself, your leadership skills. I suggest the training wheels with all this stuff is get my behavior board. It's free on my website, bratbusters.com. And look at the pool story. It gives you an idea of this leadership stuff. I don't take any crap from kids. I deal with bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid. Okay. So yeah, she just doesn't respect you. That's all. You got to work for that. You got to earn that. And you got to give respect to get it. Do you yell also? If you yell, you're more inclined to have kids who are sassy, because yelling is the ultimate in disrespect. And then you're disrespecting her, so she's disrespecting you. Children, children don't tend to respect yellers.
Okay. The next one is Cheryl from the United States. So this is just one of the questions. I have a 26-month-old daughter. If another child comes out with clear intention to snatch her toy, she reacts usually by yelling no and hitting. I don't want to overly blame her, but I'd like guidance on how to teach her sharing and respecting boundaries in a way that feels fair and kind.
That's really tricky because someone else is coming up to grab her toy and then she goes no. That's sort of up to the adults to deal with the other kid. You're asking, like, she can't train that other kid. If a kid was coming towards my kid to grab a toy, I might intervene and say, no, you can get a toy over there. I might prevent that. That's up to the adults. It's not up to a 2-year-old. She's 2 years old. It's not up to a 2-year-old to train the other kid. So just basically, if there's no adult around, she just has to give up that toy. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. I would never teach a kid to hit back or anything.
Okay, we have one final question. So Amber from the United States. I'm a mom of 4, so I have 16, 7, 4, and 3. My 3-year-old has been saying stupid mummy. We were in a store the other day, and while I was at the checkout, he started screaming it. I told him we do not say those words and continued checking out, went to the car, and him still screaming stupid mummy, and I said again, we do not say those words. I buckled him up and drove him home with him screaming stupid mummy. I'm at a loss on how to go about this.
I don't know why you're saying we do not say those words, because he is saying those words. Like, that's not going to do anything. Put on the behavior board, no name calling or no bad words. And then when he does, and say, oh, we'll deal with this when we get home. Okay. And then don't say another word about it. He calls you stupid mummy all the way home. That's fine. When you get home, you say, let's go to the board. And you say, let me see now. Your rule was no name calling and you were name calling me. Okay. So here's your consequence. That's how you do it. Calm as anything.
Okay, that was it for the questions.
Okay, does my child just say that? A lot of parents get really upset when their kid says, I hate you, I hate you. They're going to say anything to upset you when they don't get their own way and they're that way inclined to be combative. So don't worry about that stuff. If they say that they don't love you and they hate you when you're on Dumbo at Disneyland, then I might worry if they're having fun. But if they're mad, just sort of brush off whatever they say, unless it's a bad word or a name call. Then you can put it on the behavior board, okay? But to say something like, you shouldn't talk that way, that's all the lecturing and all the mini therapy sessions. It doesn't work. There's no point whatsoever. It's the consequences that teach all of us how to act right. Think about it. We don't always do we don't always do the right thing because we want to. For example, we don't always pay taxes on time unless we don't want to get fined. We sometimes want to speed, but we don't do it all the time because we don't want to get a ticket. It's the consequences that keep us all in check. So it's not the being told not to speed, it's the ticket that we get afterwards. So let them commit their own crimes, and when they do, you come in with a consequence. That's what teaches all of us how to stay on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I think with this episode, it was more about when kids are saying not very nice things. But I think there's also the flip side of just kids say embarrassing things too.
Oh, yes. Well, how about that time that we were in the bathroom, the public, I won't say exactly what you said, it's too rude, but we were in the public bathroom. It was at Brookside Shopping Centre in Brisbane, Australia, where we lived. And we were in the bathroom in the stall, and she said something about my anatomy.
Very loudly.
Very, very loudly. And she was 3, I think, at the time. And she was a very sweet, she got embarrassed really easily. She was very proper. She always said the right thing. She was just a really easy little kid. And the whole bathroom, everyone started laughing.
Well, what would have happened is because we were in the stall, I assumed the stall meant we were by ourselves.
We were not by ourselves. There was so much laughter. She was humiliated. I was laughing. I couldn't wait to get out of the stall to get eye contact with all the other mums.
I wanted to hide in there forever. I think I remember you rushing us out of the stall, and I was like, no.
Oh, I couldn't wait to get out because I wanted to laugh with all the other mums in there. It was great. They say the darndest things. Another thing that you said, was that time. Well, there's a few. What are you thinking?
No. I'm just thinking there are kids listening, so we cannot say this one. But there was one with my brother when he was quite little at swim.
I don't remember that. We'll have to talk about that one later. Anyway, but the one I was thinking about was when I didn't want to see this mom, and she was trying to get together with me, with her kids and my kids. On a Saturday. And I had said to my daughter previously, and you would have been 5, I think. And I had said to her previously, or both my kids, I said, oh, I'm so bored. I got nothing to do all weekend. I'm really bored. So this mom comes up and says, hey, do you want to get together tomorrow on Saturday? And I said, sorry, I'm busy. And my daughter said, no, remember, Mom, you said you got nothing to do all weekend. Remember that? I did not see that coming. The look on my face, she shut up really quickly. Boy, did she hear from me after that. Anyway, so they just say the darndest things. They're just kids. They're so innocent. You were just so proud that you got to correct me. That was why you did it. She was no, remember, Mom, you're wrong. You remember the other day you said, yeah, it was really cute. They do say the darndest things. It's usually all said from innocence. Anyway, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again soon with another parenting topic. So happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.